Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the CB11 Manhattan Community Board 11th Public Safety and Transportation Committee meeting. Today is April the 23rd, 2025, and we are beginning at 6:35 p.m. May I have the call to order, please? But before that, let us go over our ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom for online guests, click the participants icon and you will find the raise hand function there. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. And our staff liaison this evening is Khalid Nixon. And at this time, let us have our call to order.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Okay, members. Section Jose Altamirano.
Present.
Carlos Diaz.
Charliano?
He is on his way.
Present.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yes, we did.
Loud and clear.
Pascal Hano, president. Wanda Hopkins.
She should also be online.
Christina Johnson is excused. Jewel Jones.
Excuse.
Sage Mason.
Present.
Thank you. Valerie Ponte.
Present.
Don Sanders. And Michelle Wasai comment.
Present.
Okay, you have one.
Did I get made into? The first one, but I was
Okay,
making.
great. So now that we are all here, would we like to adopt the agenda? The agenda was given ahead of time. In the absence of no objections, the agenda has been adopted. The minutes will be continued. They are not adopted for this particular term. There's additions that need to be made on those minutes. Do we have any announcements? Besides the one that is there, I'm going to give the announcement that we have written. Metropolitan Transportation Authority, the MTA, will activate automated camera enforcement, ACE, on the M2 and M4 bus routes starting April the 28th. There will be a 60-day warning period per New York State law. However, are there any other announcements? Carlos?
No, I don't have anything, Madam Chair.
Being that we have no further announcements, let us go to our city agency partners. The police department, I know that Officer Rivera and the 2/3, they're having their meeting at this particular point, so they will not be able to make it today, but he was going to be sending in his monthly report.
We can make sure we can check back in for that.
Okay. So therefore, let us go to the 2-5.
Yeah, Xavier has boundaries. Acknowledge him.
Xavier? You have the floor.
Yes, evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm just, I can't be with you all. My son has a soccer tryout right now. You probably saw in the newsletter. I want to say thank you. Some of the members on this committee were at the Earth Day, so thank you for that. We have this Saturday, a legal aid clinic with community boards 9, 10, and 11. So it's all our Harlem boards. And I've been working on this with the other chairs of CB 9 and 10. It'll be this Saturday, so please, we'll get it. It was in the newsletter this past Friday. I think it's going to be from 10 to 4 or 12 to 4, but I'll get that information sent over to everyone. So I just want to let everyone know, and it's going to be hosted over on the west side. So I just wanted to give you that announcement. I'll put the information, I'll send it over to Khalid right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. So we'll add that to our announcement section. Okay, and did we have anyone from the 2-5 that would like to give a report, or do you want to do that at the same time, Detective Powers, as the presentation?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll do it at the same time because it's quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's because, yeah, the program is actually run by like, another unit. So they will give you more information about when you sign up, but I'll explain it to her like once I read the stats. So, again, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody had a wonderful and safe day. So here are the 28-day stats for the 25th precinct. So we have 0. We have 1 rape. It was a domestic violence incident case. We have 11 robberies in which we are down. Felony assaults, we are down as well. We did take 1 shooting. This happened on March 27th at 11 a.m. in front of 1873 Lexington Avenue, which is like close to the corner of 116th Street and Lexington Avenue. We did have a male individual that was shot in the leg. He survived the incident. What happened was there were shot spotters that rung off, and we also had a couple of 911 calls as well because there was multiple witnesses at the scene. I will say that we are happy to report that 2 have been apprehended in regards to the incident, and the victim, he's still recovering in the burglaries, we are actually up about 50%. We have 12, in which I'll explain with the FUSIS program. Grand larcenies, we are down with 32 compared to 51, which was last year's 28-day period. Grand larceny autos, we are down with 9. Everybody's doing a good job with, you know, taking their keys out of their cars when they're delivering food or whatever it is. We did have like a lot of outreaches in regards to that. So the numbers are getting lower and lower. You know, we are happy to report that. In regards to the FUSIS program, so this is pretty much, it's in regards to businesses. If you have a video camera system and a crime happens in your business, normally what we would do is, we would go.
To do that a little bit later on, the FUSIS program.
Huh?
Can I ask you to do the FUSIS program a little bit later on?
Well, I'm at the Citizens Police Academy now. I was just given like a basic thing, and then I'll give you guys a link.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
not an actual presentation. It's because, like I said, it's run by another unit. So it's not run by like the precinct. So what I can do is I can give the link inside the what is this, the message board, and I can provide my email address to anybody else that's like, you know, if they need more information. But if you go on the website, I know it's kind of hard. I'm not in the office right now. Like when you go on the FUSIS, it's called FUCUS. You go on there and there's a barcode where like you and you can get more information on that. But if you have an existing camera in your business, then you can link your camera to our system, and then they can monitor, they can pull video, they can look through things, you know, that way. So it's more for businesses, not private homes, like Ring cameras and stuff. So the site is called www.newyorkcityconnect.org. Again, I will put it inside the message bar, and then like it'll prompt you to scan the barcode, and then like you can either sign up or get more information on that. And that unit, they'll give you more information as far as like how to go about enrolling, if you're eligible and stuff like that. So that program is called FUSIS. I'll put it in the chat right now. And that's what I have for my 28-day stats.
Thank you. I was told that it was very, at least the research that I had done on it, seemed very controversial. However, as I was walking here, because of all the things that I guess have happened in the neighborhood in a very short time, people were saying, oh, that's what I heard, this is gonna be talked about. And I know a lot of businesses have already signed up for it. So hearing one side and looking online and seeing how controversial it is in other states, and then just walking in the neighborhood and having a complete opposite perspective from individuals as I walk here, it was interesting.
Yeah, some people feel like it's an invasion of privacy, kind of. So that's why you'll see like a lot of people there against it as well. But again, like it's not something that's like, it's an optional thing. You don't have to. But I guess it just gives like, officers easier access just in case like when a crime happens, we don't have to go over there to, spend hours pulling footage. Instead, like we'll just have access. But again, I guess it depends on like, if people feel comfortable with like other people having access to their cameras. So I can see why like some people, they're hesitant about it.
Can you tell us how many, uh, do you have real-time information of how many businesses are already part of this program?
So so far, I only know one business in the 2-5 that's registered, and that's the Cake Burgers business on what is that? On 119 and Pleasant. So she's the only one so far that I know that's enrolled, but I don't know anybody else that's enrolled in the 25th precinct.
Thank you.
No problem. And I left the link and to the Fuses program inside the message board. So they can like get more information, and if they choose to sign, they can do that.
I appreciate you taking the time to look that up and give us that information. Do you have any questions?
Detective powers.
How are you?
I don't want to hear officer powers anymore. It's detective powers. Great seeing you. Hope to see you soon. So the question with that program is completely volunteer, right? Because there was a lot of, like Michelle said, you have to sign yourself into it. So really, there's no invasion of privacy unless you decide to change your mind, which I'm sure there's a way out at that point. But we just wanted to clarify that because, you start hearing a lot of hearsay and we just like a lot of good information.
Yeah, so what I do know, like I know when they came to the precinct a long time, well, they emailed us about it. They did say that it's 100% voluntary. And if a business like chooses not to participate, they don't want like they can always like, cut off the access. It's not something that's like, okay, they're hooked up to our systems and they're permanently. Like, no, that's not. So if they want to leave the program, then they can absolutely do so.
Because we heard this in Echo and I should say economic development and culture, because there's no way to anyway. And that's where it first came up, and I mentioned it to Michelle, and there was right away, a lot of businesses were like all about it. Even Anne Marie, and they're building a Vertigan Health Center, which is right there on 123rd. They were like, we're gonna do this. So a lot of businesses were actually pretty happy to be involved. So, we just want to clarify and thank you for that information.
I mean, I know there were a few businesses on 116th Street that were interested as well. So we did give them the information. But again, like the only person who actually signed up and is enrolled is the Cake Burgers.
Interesting.
But we'll have our crime prevention. He's gonna go around and like, give out some more flyers to see like, I guess to kindly remind them like, hey, like don't forget this program is available, like if you want, so. But other than that, like people don't enroll in the precinct. It's like one unit downtown that handles it because they work with the third party, which is the Axon camera company. So they most like, deal with them.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that people are taking keys out of their, I mean, something so simple. But it took so long for people to start thinking about, oh, don't leave my keys in the car as I go to deliver food. I'm glad that the word is getting out. And that the opportunists robbers are not getting the opportunity to take the car. Makes sense.
Right. But it's, we're gonna continue to do our outreaches, but it has gotten better.
I'm so glad to hear that.
And also So that I mentioned is, I know that we did get a lot of complaints like in the 116th Street. So we did get our cops back that were pulled to go to transit. So those cops are back now in the precinct, and those cops are placed all along 116th Street corridor, 117th Street and Lex, and all along like 127 and 126, like our most problematic areas. And then we'll continue to have like more foot posts, you know, as the weather gets warm, because you know everybody's outside. So when the weather gets warm, have like more foot posts. So you'll be seeing like a lot of cops like on the corners lately. So, but that's about it for my report.
Thank you. Thank you for your report. Thank you for taking the time to look up and present on that information. And on that note, any hands online? Thank you, Detective Howard.
Okay, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Take
Bye.
And do we have anyone from I have to say PSA 5.
There are no one from the 23rd or the PSA 5.
Well, I know the one would be from the 23rd.
No,
I did meet someone from the PSA 5 at the 2/3 meeting. 2/3 precinct gathering last month, who personally invited us to please come to their next one. And gave information on what they want and need in their area. So that was a good conversation. Is there anyone from the fire department?
DOT's here.
Yeah. Anyone from the DOT?
Came in person to give his good news. Look at that.
As always,
Okay, come and give us our good news.
Rafael Escano, Manhattan Borough Planner, DOT, Manhattan Borough Planner. I just have one item to report on, and that is the Third Avenue between 107 and 116 is going to be resurfaced. It's going to start resurfacing tonight. And I have to clarify because this is not related at all to the Third Avenue redesign project. This is something that has been scheduled as, you know, as regular in the DOT programs, resurfacing program. So I just wanted to make that clear, and that's all that I have to report on. Oh, I think I can go back to
What?
no, that's.
This is the one.
Yes, no, I just want to also officially, because we have discussed the fact that we had completed the 117th Street pedestrian lane.
There you go.
And officially, I have to report that that has been done.
107.
17 by the morning.
117th Street.
117, the pedestrian lane that Jose has been really kind of motivating.
Brutal.
And
Savagely.
we grow the planters. Hello.
Concerts are there. Thank you, Rafael.
Sage.
So you guys are repaving,
Yes.
can you repeat the streets that are being repaved on Third Avenue?
What was the question? Oh, 107th Street, the second from 107th Street to 116.
Okay,
And that is going to start today. You know, today is going to be mill.
Hmm.
You know, we're removing the surface. And then it will be resurfaced anew in a few more days.
okay. Is that going to happen already when the, like,
That
as
has
part
no
of the
relation.
design?
Has no relation
I don't
whatsoever.
mean the relation, I just mean in terms of efficiency. Like, are you basically going to like have to redo it? When you redesign?
Not necessarily.
That's why they're doing it. They're gonna build on top.
But you're not also doing, you know, 90 to 107th and then 116th.
128. This is just repaving, removing the existing surface, and then applying the new surface.
Maybe we'll say, I was like, are you doing it for the, or at least the other segments along Third Avenue, are they in good repair that it doesn't need milling and paving? And is that gonna impact the redesign that's coming up?
Nothing would be impacting.
Okay.
Okay, in the future project, it's. The schedule is this only. The rest, it has not been scheduled as of yet, because this is a rolling resurfacing schedule.
I understand that, I just mean, if this is like a rolling schedule, to me, it sounds like there was not efficient communication in terms of. You know, maximizing efforts, because now they're going to, like, instead of maybe everybody doing everything in one process, there's this thing. And then in a couple months, they're going to do a different thing, which is redesigning the app.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it would have no impact whatsoever on the future of the redesign. I presume that since this is just a schedule that has been done months ago, it has to go on. It's a rolling resurfacing schedule that has to be completed accordingly.
It just sounds like there was like money being
So,
wasted.
not necessarily, because they all know what this was happening in relation to the redesign. So they find that it will have no impact on that redesign if it's ever done in the future.
It's not a waste, because they're going to make it smooth. So their choice is either to do all that new construction on bad asphalt or make it smooth. Because they already did the 96 to 106. Was that last year?
Yeah.
It was last year.
Last year, so that's already done. It's done on purpose. It's not just because the city decided to rain heaven on us. It's because they're going to make sure that that bike lane is smooth, and then when they paint it, it's going to be smooth. So it's either you do that kind of work on something that is not as structurally smooth, or you make it smooth and now you do it. So it's in process for that project that's upcoming.
So that's it, like, from 116.
So I just don't want, I understand what you're trying to say, like it's wasteful, but it's not.
It's not really. it's
It
not-
is a compliment to what needs to be done. It's actually the first step to what
But are they also doing it from 116 to 128?
they'll have to do it all as they're going to do this whole new Third Avenue, they'll do it.
But then will you have to redo the, like, you know, repaint it after?
Oh, they painted it,
So
but they put it on top.
Yeah.
No, once they, mill and pave 116.
Oh, yeah, all the marking will be on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Hold on a second. It's not all talk at the same time.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you, because it's not recorded if we are overrunning. Raphael, last year. The street was milled. And it was not repaved for quite a long time. I do not want that to be repeated, because all that dust went into the air and it's very unhealthy.
Right, I understand, and that hinges on the weather in particular.
This was months.
Right, oh,
But also contracts with other like utilities and so forth that are under the street that you try to coordinate with them, right?
exactly, there are different things that will influence the duration for that particular work. And it is something that sometimes takes longer than what has been expected, but it is not anything that is attributed to any, how can I tell?
The only reason I'm saying that
It's not attributed to intentionally, leave it for so long. It's just
this
that there,
was months after that, nothing was being done with it. There was no other work that was being done. I'm just hoping that this time that any delays, that unnecessary delays are not happening.
correct, and I understand that. I have no leverage over that, but I can tell you that it's not done intentionally. There are things that comes along the project that probably delays the work that has to be done.
Yes, or this.
Madam Chair, they won't be able to do their project on Third Avenue unless they finish that. So I will assure you that since they're in a rush to do Third Avenue, they will probably do this, you repave, remilling and repaving in record time. What do you think, Rafael?
I am
Is that
able
a safe
to
bet?
answer to that because I don't know. Sorry.
On that note, do you have any further questions, say anything, Pascal or Violet? Or Carlos that's online? All right. Thank you, Rafael. From the DOT. Anyone from the district attorney's office? No? Okay, so I already said that I had gone to the 2-3. And I think I also did the 2-5 as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I was busy. Do we have any other people that went to different things? Yes, please.
MTA reps, Ruby Benitez and Alberto Rodon, they actually stopped by the office today, just to introduce themselves, show their face. I let them know that the latest letter of support we asked to relocate those bus stops, that the committee wasn't satisfied with the answer, and that, you know, you guys might reach out to them and later date to follow up on that, so they're willing to,
Oh, good.
you know, to talk to us about, you know, what's feasible, why they're not able to relocate it, et cetera, so forth. So just want to let you guys know that they're willing to have follow-up conversations.
Conversation.
Yeah, so just, you know, send a formal request to them and get that done.
Yes, okay.
Chair, on that note, from our announcement today about ACE program. Could we get clarification from the NTA how these tickets are going to be given? Primarily because these bus lanes now go in front of where people live and sometimes people need to drop off. Particularly, East Harlem has the highest concentration of elderly people in the city. Is there a leeway of timing? Because once those cameras start, I mean, they've been giving a lot of people tickets. $50 the first event, $250 the second event, something in that trajectory.
Yes, so.
So we would like to see if they, I'm not sure they have it online, because they kind of say it's a leeway situation, but we would like a more. Definitely, we would like to know, like, no, that's for double parking, this is different. This is bus lanes, that's like a different. Oh, beast.
Maybe it's not that, but we can definitely ask them to come in.
Yeah, see, here it goes, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. For taxis, it's a little different, honestly, you guys know I have a taxi business. They charge them a little differently in that regard. But, you know, we understand that, we don't want people leaving their cars, it's not what we're trying to, do or stop, but we also know that with these bus lanes being everywhere now, people need to drop off, whether they have an accessibility issue, and when someone has an accessibility issue, you don't necessarily drop them off wherever you please because of that issue. I would like a more definite answer as to the timing. Is it 1 minute? Is it 5 minutes? And then we can disseminate that to the community so that they're aware that this is the timing, this is the grace period they have. I know for double parking, it's something like 30 minutes. From what I've seen, or 15, 20 minutes.
I was told 10.
But even then, it's like, it's up in the air.
There's too many differences.
So I think we should get further double parking, might as well while we communicate with them, get for the bus lanes. Primarily now that Third Avenue will have a bus lane, so we'll have 3 of these bus lanes in our community, spanning the whole community. So I'm sure like people will, you know, have these issues.
Yeah. Thank you. Also, one of the outreach things from the PSA 5 is, they want to have the bus stop, this would be for the people that came today, that was removed right by Metropolitan Hospital. There were 2 on either side of the hospital, one has been replaced, one has not been replaced. And to have the bus stop with a cover over it is what they are requesting.
It's a reasonable request.
Reasonable request. It was there before, taken down and not put back up. Do we have any other people that did any outreach this month?
Had a long outreach with DOT, but I think we'll talk about that later, right? Third Avenue,
Yes.
okay.
Pascal, please.
I've done some things I don't need to talk about.
Oh, Valerie, any outreach? Okay. So we already had our presentation with pieces with Detective Allen. And we are now to the point of,
Are you hiring East 116th Street business owner?
Oh, yeah, I can talk to that if you guys want.
yeah, I think,
So they're circulating, kind of petition, most of the small business owners that I've talked about them are against having a bus lane there. Um. My personal opinion, I was also against having a bus lane there, noting that, for the most part, 116 has a lot of micro businesses, right? We're not talking about large, box businesses. We've seen what's happened on 125th, what's happened on 96th Street, which happened very recently without us even being known. Were you? I don't think they approached community board for that one. Did they? Yeah, I wasn't sure. I would miss it. I don't think they did, right?
they did it so fast that it was.
Okay, but anyway, okay, so,
It was really fast.
but 116 spanning. Probably what Madison this way, a lot of small businesses and people do double park, pop in. My office is there, my building is there. I got cameras on I'm probably the only one that has cameras on the outside, so I get to watch everything and everyone. I'm sure I was laughing when they were talking about this program, because I have the DA and the 2-5 always coming to me for footage.
Why don't you want to sign?
Yeah, because no, they can still come to me. But, unless I did something, it wasn't working that way. Never know, Paige. Somebody might catch me on the wrong day. So, but look, most businesses have a very large concern because obviously, it's a lot of food business there. It's vibrant. It's probably out of all the streets, our biggest economic street currently. Our 125th still have sandwiches. We hope with this bid process, it'll help to expand that. But, it's a big concern. When once these are in place, as you can see, that camera system is unforgiving. The camera system's unforgiving. It's only if you're owning a restaurant there, and people stop all the time. And honestly, of course, DOT stated that there's this huge traffic jams all the time. Like, that's, when there's traffic all over the time, like rush hour, I get traffic like everyone else, but for the most part, everyone is fine there. I've never seen a substantial issue unless there's an accident or something out of the means. And I'm there every day. But, from everyone that I spoke to, and obviously try to speak in an unbiased manner, but, they didn't like the idea because they know what happens. They've seen tickets, they've gotten some of the tickets in other places that they already live in. They're scared that their business will be heavily affected. People won't go eat there if they, because what people do is they'll double park, they will run in, grab their food, run out a couple minutes. And that will stop as soon as you get a $50 ticket for getting $10 worth of tacos, right? It just doesn't make sense to anyone. There's a limit to how much parking there is. And it's pretty full. I mean, all these avenues, the cars are there, there's movement. All these are metered streets, so that we're clear. These are not like, they've been metered streets for a significant amount of time. From Second Avenue going west, they're all metered. To Park, they're metered. From there to Madison, they're not. From Madison to Fifth is metered, I believe. Doesn't make a difference. This will go across 116, so we'll be in contact with other community boards to see their perspective on it. But my understanding is West Harlem also has very similar situations, small, a lot of restaurants, a lot of things, because I'll pop in there every once in a while to get some good food. And what do? Like, I'll go there and the park, run in. you know, like there's no other way. So this is discussion that we had privately with DOT, but obviously we have to you know, make sure that the community is aware of this change because there will be a big change. I mean,
And may I just say something, Madam Chair? The other problem that we're having is that they don't take any more coins. If you don't have a credit card, you can't park your car in that area. Before you were able to put in 2 quarters or you could park inside, now you can't. Now you got to have a credit card in order for you to park the car on the block. Right on Third Avenue, between Lexington and matter of fact, it goes over from Park Avenue all the way to Second Avenue. You can't park with us unless you have a credit card. So there is a problem for people who don't have credit cards that put coins on the meters. They don't taking coins anymore. So that's a major problem for us as well.
I think you had brought that up previously.
Yeah, but nothing has been done, and that seems to be a major problem where people go in there for like 5-10 minutes want to put 50 cents in the meter, and you can't, and you have to put a credit card, and they don't stay that long. So if we could look into that, it'd be great.
yeah, that now the meters are different. They work with license plate.
They work with the license plate and you have to have a smartphone to.
Exactly, yeah.
So
It's just the meter parking and the representation, they talked about their toolkit, and the things in there was reducing the time. In some locations for 15 minutes from the meter, that's right. I don't think that's gonna work, especially with those restaurants, that you can sit down and eat. If you want to. Yeah, sure. So I'm talking about the toolkit that was presented where they talked about changing the meter parking from like maybe an hour, 2 hours to 15 minutes. That doesn't really work, especially for like businesses where people could come in and sit down and eat. And 15 minutes, that's just you putting in your order. Really.
it's your first drink.
I thought that was just like the minimum amount of time. But that wouldn't be, like, not the maximum, but they would let you be there for as little as 15 minutes if that's what you wanted.
I understood it as it just being 15 minutes, is that correct?
I didn't know what's up there.
It was the toolkit for 116th Street.
I've experienced that before, because they have that in DC.
Yeah, they give you like,
It makes no sense, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's,
and mind you, Madam Chair, if I may continue. This is all still in the design phase. They're asking for our opinions on what we'll do. What could work, what could not work. I love it. And, you know, everyone can pass, you know, if you get a study. I love how studies always reflect what you want them to reflect, you know? But it's like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful how these studies always give that right information. But it is something, you know, this is a very vibrant corridor coming through 116. There's a lot of restaurants, people have been there working for a long time. And obviously, public safety has always been our concern, transportation, but we do need to make it feasible for everyone. I know that from everyone I spoke, they're circulating that letter.
This is what you're looking at, sorry. This is what you're proposing.
Yeah, so that it would be 15-minute parking. So anyone in that range would only, so it's short-term parking.
Yeah.
No.
Right, but as opposed to get up an hour.
So on one side would be an hour, the other side would be more minimal parking, and then they would put truck loading zones. But that's, you know, that helps for 1 or 2 trucks, not for after that. But, you know, for the most part, I think they wanted to, that group wanted to come in next month. During May, they say that they will come in and they will present what they were gonna do and how they feel about it. Luckily, this is still very early on in the phasing, so we can hear from the community. But for the most part, like, I think some of the tools that they want to do can be very beneficial. I think they wanted to extend some things. Some of the tools in their toolkits are very good. That TSP is something that we requested and has been amazing. You know, it's a delayed timing. helping with certain bus stops. I'm not sure if they wanted to extend or the buses could flow more easily. That's also something that could be beneficial. So we're not completely against it in that regard. It's more the dedicated bus lane there. That is an issue.
But it's all
For buses that don't come all that often either, but still. But it is heavily used and we do want people to be able to go back and forth and have that accessibility. We also hope that when they do these things, they, you know, but it's, you know, it's beautiful when they have something in mind. But when the community is asking for something, because just now we're asking for a bus stop, we have total closure, which should be a very simple fix, considering they removed the bus stop there. It's just, you know, hopefully that they can, and for the most part, MTA and DOT do, work with the community board and with the communities, you know, sometimes it takes a little longer than other times, you know.
And sometimes it takes a little bit of nothing.
And, you know, here and there, but, we wanted to be clear in that perspective. I think we were clear with them at their presentation. I missed this presentation when they came here last month. But,
I was able to speak with some of the individuals from on the west side,
oh, what is, yeah,
and I think they were just really frustrated at this point. They couldn't even get into the details, but again, it was an African burial ground.
there's a large African community in West Harlem that we're familiar with, you know, have a lot of drivers that are from Africa. And they, you know, there's a lot of micro businesses in West Harlem. And again, a lot of this revolves around that, popping in, popping out, like when I go to Amy Rue's 116, I don't park and I just. I already ordered, I just run in and get out, you know, this is kind of. And it works, no one is standing still and everyone gets to go around, because there's 2 lanes, now we're talking about making this. A 1 lane in each direction. You know, so it's difficult for me to understand how they're using kind of traffic and congestion as the reason why they would put it. But how much more traffic and congestion it's gonna cost the community by reducing it from 4 lanes to 2? You know, it really doesn't make sense to me in the logic of the process. So for those reasons and many others, I'm not in favor of that particular usage of the toolkit, but obviously there's a lot of tools that they can use there, so. I hope that they're willing to use all of them and not just the one that they want to necessarily implement.
Thank you. Is there someone online?
No, just wanted to be clear about where we are. Are we still in a discussion regarding, you know, 116th Street business
116th
owners'
Street
response to DOT's proposed?
Yeah.
Redesign, or are we discussing finalizing the board's position?
Now we're discussing.
We're on the discussion before the old business, we're on the discussion of the 116.
Because,
Do we have?
Because the owners were getting signatures together, they wanted to come with like
Okay, so then,
everyone signed, because not everyone could come, everyone was.
So he's speaking
So-
for the business
So
owner.
they're gonna send that in May with a couple of, you know, besides myself, because obviously I'm on the community board, I also have a business and I own a building there, but
so we can expect to receive.
That for
business
May.
owners, okay,
what was that? Mayo. For 5 de Mayo.
petition and testimony, you said?
Yeah,
Let him finish.
Oh, yeah, I mean, just want to clarify.
Okay, and
thank you.
Pascal, then Sage, and then Raphael.
I don't have.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Excuse me?
Let's go.
I guess my question is, since you've been met with the business owners and you personally, one thing they said that the bus lane would be 24 hours. Was something I don't agree with at all.
Yes,
You just imagine the stand-in fee, where it's, you want to grab something to eat and it's late and it's not rush hour. Can't stand it. So did they have any feelings about that?
I mean, they had feelings in general about it. They didn't see the necessity of it. These are people that are there every day, or they've been there 30, 40 years. Some of them have been there considerable, some of them have been less. But for the most part, 116 is not, you know, a congestion area. We don't have these huge traffic jams. There's no horn blasting. It doesn't happen, you know, so they're not understanding why they want to implement it. And obviously, I explained to them this is not just here, but they're doing it everywhere throughout the city, right? Except where certain community boards and certain organizations, people go against it and then they find different ways to go around it. But I do agree with that 24 hours makes a big difference, even going down. When you go downtown, you'll see it. It's from this hour to this hour, this hour to this hour. So in the middle of the day, people can park there. There's a break in between. It's really more like rush hour oriented. And maybe that's something that could be considered. But for the most part, you know, they don't understand the necessity of it or how it's going to help. And I explained to them obviously that they're claiming that there's been significant traffic and they're there. These people, you can't tell people like they have eyes, right? Like the barbershop lady's like, where? Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone is, they're there every day for the most part. You know, they spend more time there than they do at home. And it's hard to tell them that we're doing this. Like if they had noticed a more substantial issue, like other neighborhoods, other situations, and I think they would have been more accepting of it. But for the most part, like it's just not what we see there, you know, we're there every day. So, and obviously I'm particularly second and third, but we're talking to people all the way up to Park more or less, and maybe we could reach out to more some business. Well, we'll go to Fifth, which is our borderlines. One that, you know, that's great that you spoke to the other community board.
I thought it was important, and they really wanted to talk about it.
Of course, it's a big change, and once they make that change, it's not going back.
I was able to also. I mean, I walk on 106th Street. Have the car and the bus, so I mean, I've gone in the different, just to feel how it is in different ways. And it's just a slower street. And I want it to be slower because we want that meandering. 116th Street. You want that meandering, you want that sort of neighborhood, that feel, and it would greatly change. I felt.
Well, I mean, I have a
126th
question for you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
They did this bus lane on where you live on 96th Street. How is it? What's your experience of that?
There's a lot of angry people. When I say angry people, as in the drivers, they start scooting around people, the buses are going so fast that it feels dangerous. At times, when you do start slowing down in your car, we hear the bus driver like banging on the, thing because you're too slow and you're moving into a parking area. And they're like, well, how come you're not moving fast enough? And you're just hearing the sound of their horn blaring at you. It has created a slew of not community.
I mean, it's just a lot of poor planning, right? In other countries, the bus lane is actually the considered to the sidewalk would be the outermost lane, which would be the middle lane. That way people are here and this is the street, basically like this is the sidewalk, people park here and this is the bus lane, so that they can go in and they'll come in, they'll stop, they'll go back to their bicycle. But it allows people to park easier and this, and I knew that, I've heard that parking is an issue, but now the buses are like running on you. And I heard of one individual who was parking and the bus got there, he couldn't park there no more. You know, parking on 96th Street, well, you know, if you're not really in that area, it's not easy. It's not easy to find a parking spot.
My thing is, how fast do buses really need to go in a neighborhood where people are?
They should follow the speed limit.
They should not be going as fast as they are, and I think it's getting to be a little bit dangerous. There was something that I had forgotten to bring up, and I guess I'll bring it up in new business. when it comes to bus lanes and bus lanes.
I think Rafael wants,
I think we are done with,
I think Rafael wants to say something.
I'm sorry, what?
I think Rafael wants to say something.
Yes, but are you finished? 'Cause-
I'm finished.
Okay,
So
I
I
just wanted,
just wanted to bring this up. The presentation deck that you see there has been, kind of modified based on some of your concerns previously spoken about. So, there will be changes. Not entirely per se, but, the unit has been very much interested in really considering the concern that you have expressed in the past. So I just want to bring that up.
thank you.
I
Do we
have a
have the
question,
dates?
Madam Chair.
Hold on a second,
That would be,
I'm sorry, hold on, Carlos?
Yeah, did they ever come back to us with some of the requests that we had asked? Cause one of the concerns is that bus turning on Third Avenue into 116th Street. Remember I told you it takes about 4 lanes to get to the other side, and then they're gonna make that quick left to go into 116th Street. Did they ever get back to us regarding how that we're
That's
gonna
for
do
Third
that?
Avenue,
Because,
right, Charlie?
huh?
That's for the Third Avenue redesign?
That's correct, yeah. Well, they got the Third Avenue bus that goes to 116th, Street. They make a quick left, and that left is like 4 lanes to get to go into Lexington Avenue, and that's pretty dangerous because people crossing the street there, and if there's a traffic jam, they stay like in the middle of the sidewalk, so people can't. I mean, the crossing, and they can't walk across because the bus is making that turn, and it stops automatically because there's traffic ahead of them. So
For
my
Third
question
Avenue?
is did they get back to us how they're gonna redesign that? So they don't have to, they have to go 4 lane before they make that left. So if you're making a left 4 lanes, you're backing up the traffic from Third Avenue, and you're back in the crosswalk where people are crossing on 116th Street and Third Avenue. There's a major, especially when you got those double-decker buses, those long buses, it just stops everything for a moment there. So they said they were gonna look into it, but I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either. I remember when we brought that up, their response was that they would look into it and haven't heard anything, but also that they were confident in the skills of their drivers to navigate that. Which is no change from our experience.
But you see how dangerous that is though, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is completely dangerous. And I think it was brought up in the meeting of the meeting, for the meeting.
Yeah, they brought, so Charlie, that's for the Third Avenue, we're talking about what 16, but we are gonna talk about
Right,
that.
but that bus that turns on 100 on Third Avenue goes into 116th Street.
I know.
It makes that immediate left.
Makes that left turn. So there is an answer to that. They are going to remove, I think it's about 5 parking spots. And they're gonna make those 5 parking spots a left turn bay for the buses or and vehicles as well. So basically from the corner of 116 down to. I mean, the 5 is almost the entire block, but let's say 2/3 of it, a little past where the CVS, which has been empty for a while, so I didn't reference anything but the CVS, so they're going to turn that into a left turn lane. So the bus would go there, everything else, so the buses would actually be turning, starting probably 112, 113, getting into the left lane. And then when they get to 116, they will go into the turning lane.
And the buses will have their own signal.
But
That is what is part of the toolkit. Yeah. But we are getting.
I think we can, yeah, we're getting
Ahead
ahead.
of ourselves, because the 100 and the Third Avenue redesign that is. In old business, and we're really doing the part of East 116th Street corridor right now, Carlos.
Yeah, no, but that's part of the 163 corridor, because if it's gonna make that left, it's gonna go right on on 116th Street. And it goes from 163 from Third Avenue all the way west.
Right, that design is specifically in the Third Avenue one, you won't see this in the 116th Street design. And so when you're ready to move on to the actual agenda items, Michelle, to discuss those, are we still discussing the business response?
That's what we were still discussing, but our person who is part of it is no longer here, so we'll put that on pause.
And so we're gonna expect to receive the petition and testimonies next May, and we're expecting some attendees to come next month?
That was,
Okay.
so, that is asking personally. Okay,
Thank you.
are we expecting people from businesses to come next month?
Yeah. So a few of them are gonna come and they're gonna bring the petition. I mean, besides me, yeah.
So, okay, should we move on to whole business finalizing position, the board's position? The committee's position, on proposed Third Avenue redesign, and then following with the proposed 116th Street redesign. Okay.
So B is for next month.
So I just wanted to make sure that you were finished with it completely right now.
I'm never finished, but you can continue.
Okay, old business. Finalizing the position and correspondence for the proposed Third Avenue redesign. We asked for a block by block design on the redesign of 96th Street, 96th Street to 128th Street. Before the block by block redesign, we were asked by the commissioner to give a points of concern that we had. And I brought up all the different points that we had discussed. A lot of the ones that you had said, Pascal, as well as adding the times as opposed to having it 24 hours. The reducing in the amount of parking. Instead of having 3 or 4 spaces taken up, having it reduced to 1.5 or to 2, and just to work on all the different things, and we spoke for quite a time. And at the end, they were supposed to,
I promise.
the promise was, we give them this, they give us a block by block redesign. The block by block redesign, we did not get, but we did give them our letter of concerns.
It's not necessarily a block by block redesign, it's more so like a legend that you can follow, and you explain it if you actually do look at it properly. They'll have here the segments that you can expect to see it along the block, and what you can expect to see along those segments. So I understand what you're saying, you want like 96, 97, 97, 98, like that's. You can ask Raphael if DOT can, if that's feasible, if they have the ability to do that, but. At a very minimum, they have given you templates and then you just apply it across along the blocks. So we can at least start off with that. And regarding, I know Carlos had just brought up the concern with 116th Street, buses turning in safely at these intersections here, 106th Street, 116th Street, and 125th Street. Making a left turn, right, Carlos?
Yes, yes.
So, okay, all right, so then we could look at the left turn, let's see, intersections where left turns are prohibited. Show you along
Those are
here.
one-way streets. Keep going down.
Left turn with
Keep going down.
offset crossing
Yeah, keep going
lanes,
down.
left turn with.
This is
turn
where
there.
you're talking.
This is it right
There we
here.
go, right. Okay, so this is an example of. What Carlos is saying, like where the bus is gonna have to turn to 116th, they're gonna have to make their way. All the way across here. Onto here, is that the concern?
Yes,
Yeah, mine-
especially when it gets caught in the, where people are crossing the street, because if there's a bus in front of them, they won't be able to make that turn. I mean, they'll be able to make the turn, but they have to stand still until the bus moves out. And that's the problem. Then you have the people who are walking across the street, can't walk across because the bus is in the middle of the lanes.
Charlie, but the buses wouldn't be turning on that same, from that same block. They would be making that transition from the block before. There would be
Right,
no
but they
stop.
gotta go 4 lanes, and when they go
They
to,
do.
when they go across the 4 lanes, then they gotta make that left. And then the
So-
crosswalk is when they stop many times, because there's a bus in front of it.
So maybe to prevent that, Rafael, is it possible for there to be, like bus, what do you call this? Is it the bus signal, or like bus only signal? The queue bus, thank you, bus queue signals ahead of, where they need to make these substantial turns. So they'll go ahead before regular pedestrian, commercial, pedestrian vehicles. And then make that transition into that left turn, that left lane, if that's feasible. So,
What Khalid is talking about is basically dedicated, but they would be turning from the red lane to the left, which is.
yeah, but like, but wait, like, if this is 116th here, then like at 114th or 115th. There's a bus queue signal, and really it gives the bus ample time before other traffic goes forward, the bus has ample time to go over there and make that turn.
And I mean, they've been making this turn since the, buses were installed there. They start transitioning starting on 112. There is no through streets from 112 to 115 because Jefferson Project, so there's nothing that goes between. So there is a traffic light, but there is no through streets, right, for those couple of blocks. So it does allow them to transition over without too much of a problem, honestly, because of the housing being there.
Okay.
Because we're picturing that like that's 115. That's the first through street starting from 112. So for 3 city blocks, they have the ability to transition over.
Okay.
And then they get to the left turn. So I mean,
And having the queue, having the light specifically for the buses, that is part of the toolkit that is used in many of the other.
well, they couldn't use it here because it's not just for buses, it's for vehicles too. So if you put. What you're gonna do there is they're going to have a left turn signal. Just for left turns, at least that's what they told us. in the
I thought,
presentation.
what was being proposed was not just like a left turn signal, but letting the buses in the bus lane a couple blocks that way go first, just so they have a head start.
But that's what they do.
Is that happening?
That turn exists, that turn's been there always, they turn on 116.
Yeah, they do turn on 160.
Yeah.
I don't mean the turn, I just mean like when they start.
But what happens is they switch lanes between the project. Normally I would understand, but since there is no through streets, 113, 114 don't exist there because of Jefferson housing. Their transition isn't very difficult. They start popping out of 112 and they start veering to they veer to the left and then they get ready to turn on 116. The problem that Charlie's talking about, it's obviously a more comprehensive trouble, is where we have throughout the city that city agencies don't really respect city laws or rules. They will, that bus particularly consistently and habitually, they don't have space and they'll still make the left turn and they completely block the crossing lane.
So they'll make this turn in between one.
So I'll explain.
16.
This is, let's just say, currently what they're doing now, there's no parking, they turn here. And they obviously can see, but they get stuck right here. And now you can't, they block this lane of traffic, they block the crossway, they block everything. They see that they don't have enough space, but they don't care. They still hold it, mind you, it's not a DOT issue, it's more of an MTA driving issue. Look at the dedicated signal place. I understand, but it's the length. They stick out, they know they're not gonna fit, but they still go.
Okay.
So they stick out. See, the bus is very long. It's not a regular vehicle, right? We're talking about 4 lengths of a vehicle, of a regular vehicle. So half of them is here and half of them are here. And what Charlie's talking about is there, but
They get stuck there.
that is a problem that we have, huh?
Cause he doesn't wanna wait for the next light.
Cause he doesn't wanna wait for the next, he doesn't wanna wait, so he's like, I'm gonna go.
But will that problem be solved?
It doesn't, it won't be solved. That's not a solution.
But if there is a dedicated bus lane where the bus person can turn into that lane and then.
No, the bus
So
will still turn
onto 116th, right? So you're saying they make this turn here,
and
but
they get stuck.
they get stuck there because there's already traffic that's blocking. the
Yeah, cause
bus,
there's
right?
cars there, yeah.
Right, so if there is a dedicated bus lane.
Also, they
Won't they be able
peek
to
in,
just-
they peek into the, so there's a bus dropping, so most of the time it's not vehicular traffic, they are trying to stop at this stop. Bus stop.
right there.
If there's a bus there. There's someone there, her husband.
Oh.
So if there's a bus there, they have to wait until that bus finishes their thing and they're repeat like this. This is what they're like. And it blocks and it happens, but that's not a DOT issue, that's more of a
That's a
habitual driving issue. And we have these issues everywhere where like they don't respect city, you'll go around,
So that is an issue to bring up with MTA regarding their bus drivers and how they.
take their turns.
Yeah, they take their turns. If they see a bus that's parked up there and they're gonna cause traffic, then that's something we
Just wait.
just wait, right? And we should try to bring those up to our MTA liaisons for sure.
Yeah. That is the biggest issue to Charlie, the interference.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing that we had asked for with the block by block redesign was how is parking going to be redistributed?
Here, so you'll see for each. In each segment, they'll let you know like 2 spaces for day lighting. 0 parking spaces lost along the color coded section here. So I don't know, Michelle, if what you're thinking is you want to be able to determine like you can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pedestrian vehicles versus.
So this was more so that they were saying that they were going to have a discussion on cross streets. And the conversation that was gonna happen with the 2-3 precinct, the 2-5, and the different FDNY as well as PSA 5. Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Chair. I was gonna say on slide 13. There's one color that's indicated green. Apparently they added angle parking, which adds 28 spaces. That's all the way at the end.
No,
That is at the end of 128, that's a different budget, they're gonna put it together. That's between 127, 128.
Okay.
There's not a lot of traffic there, vehicular traffic for the most part.
That's for the FDNY?
That's further up, that's by the church.
The green all the way at the end.
That's by the church, that is part of the
That's-
redesign, that is part of the redesign of
For the
the
pedestrian?
overhead, yes, that's all
Okay.
part of that. But it is entangled with this. And because there's very, very little vehicular traffic going there, they're going to do angle parking. I had actually requested for them and I hope they reconsider to make that a 2-way street because more cars go south there against traffic than they do north. Because on 127th Street, there's very little vehicular traffic. So 3rd Avenue, 127 is a very rare street where if you turn, it's a one-way when you go west, it's a one-way when you go right, east. So if they would make that considering the amount of traffic that happens on 128, which is our biggest bottleneck.
same amount of traffic.
So if you are there in the mornings or times of traffic, people go up 3rd Avenue against traffic. You'll see 10, 15, 20 cars, and they'll turn on 127 real fast, so they'll take it, which it's.
And sometimes.
And people do it all the time, stand there.
There's a cop car usually right there. And as soon as they look down,
Well, I took, someone from the council person's office there to look at it when we were arguing, and it took us 10 seconds to see a Parks Department truck go up 3rd Avenue and make the left because of the congestion, so it would make feasible sense, and I'm hoping DOT can somehow see some kind of logic, because I feel like logic should be incorporated into these designs, not just, overall, like, the feeling of how the city should be, there would just be, I believe that New York City is a city where always have cars in, and I know we're trying to emulate other cities like Paris and make it more bike friendly and everything else. And I love bikes, I ride bikes all the time. But, not at the cost of, people still wanna have their vehicles.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more and more, so if you live in this community, you should be able to own a car, should you choose to own a car, but it's going more toward pedestrians. For instance, you hear Vision Zero, it's a city initiative, the T initiative, everything. These are a lot of Vision Zero's initiatives, these extended bulbs, you see all that yellow. But they made jaywalking legal the other day.
right,
You know what I mean? So it's like, so what they're doing is, all this is pushed on vehicular traffic, there's no, kind of responsibility on what
All
that's.
the pedestrians that they should
Try
be
to
more-
jaywalk in Washington DC and you see what happens there. You will get a ticket. Like, they do not, if it is not time to cross, or you cross in the middle. And those blocks are long, if you've ever been in DC, you will get a fine. It's $150. I've seen it happen. I want that, so I'm like, "Hey, man, let's take it." Jaywalk. But, recently council passed jaywalking is legal. But we don't, vision, it feels like it's arbitrary, but going back to this, Madam Chair, if I may continue, yourself. But what Khalid said was correct, right? We are getting the minimal amount. Our duty here in the community board is to advise, to see things forward. For the most part, anything that DOT has done in the past, we've gone to full redesign, seen it all, what it's gonna look like, and then we comment on it. That is typically what we have always done. Now, we're understanding that DOT does not give community boards full redesigns, they give them overviews. This is basically an overview. Luckily, because of this committee's persistence, Michelle's persistence, we have gotten a few more. In this particular one, that has been very helpful, honestly. We saw what 116 is going to look like, we get a rough graph of what they're going to be like, the intersection, but in general, I don't think this community is against the concept of this redesign. This is coming from all the way downtown. But, we also don't want to be treated like we're idiots, right? Like, it's almost like, hey, give us all your thoughts and everything else. And you guys have been working on this more than that, so I haven't been able to be here. I've been doing more background work, talking to them and all that. But they're basically telling you like, hey, we're not gonna tell you what it looks like, but we need you to give us ideas. And then it's hard to do, and luckily you guys have been able to do it, and it's given information, but for the most part, it seems like a very difficult way of doing things. This is already finalized. This is unlike 116 that is kind of in the works. This is already finalized. They have a plan. They're going to be starting, when are they starting next time? But soon, it's already.
At one point, it was supposed to be spring, which is spring.
But, so, this
And
is
we
the,
have, and I do thank everyone that has given their input and. We relayed it, and we have been in conversation with them after the letter of points of concern was given. However, the feedback, as Jose has stated, has not been as ample as we thought that they would be. So based on that, how do we want to go forward?
Where's the ask for month? Are you voting?
we would vote, it should have been voted on prior, actually.
You can consider this,
We can consider it,
consider that right
I'm
now.
putting that on the floor, we can vote on how do we want to go forward on this, do we want to make a vote now? Do we want to make a motion? Based on what we have received, what we haven't received. We have given the information that they requested. We have gotten portion of that. We are not completely opposed to everything. We see a lot of positives. We see a lot of things in the toolkits that are very positive. So we are going to make a motion.
This is nice, I can make a motion, I'm not chair, chair is typically by protocol.
I'm not gonna make the motion.
No, most chairs
I'll
don't,
make the motion.
but I would-
You'll entertain a motion?
I will
or-
entertain
Yeah, so,
I'm gonna say that right now.
so I'd like
I
to
will
make a
entertain a
motion, but prior to that, like discuss, like I find it very frustrating that DOT cannot give us a full design. Right, it's kind of insulting in ways. Because the work that we do here, right, this is much better than the first one, but the first one wasn't even as clear as this, and it's like. we're not against this project by any means, but I do find it that, you know, I'm gonna make a motion to go against it just on the principles of not receiving the full design and making it so much more difficult to process based on that. We don't do it, then in the future, that's what they'll keep telling us, and they'll give us these broad overviews, and I don't need a broad overview. I need detail, what's gonna happen in my community. This is a project that's gonna encompass from 96th Street to 128th Street, right? It's not like a small project. Right, this is going to affect everyone that lives and everyone that travels through our community. We're going down from 4 lanes to 3. And we will feel vehicular traffic. Even though they say that they're doing this for vehicular traffic, but you're gonna see the difference in traffic going up Third Avenue. And typically, for instance, I like to travel up Third Avenue instead of First Avenue because it's less traffic. Not sure if this will be the case in the future, but we're gonna see. I do think that it is, you know, if we're doing a job here, we're all volunteers, come to do something for our community, we're not getting paid to be here. So I think that they should be forthcoming, give us a full redesign. It was asked, it was promised, they said they would do it. Our chair even responded to them and said, hey, you guys, by email, you guys said you would send this to us. Crickets. We recently got an email that they're just going to start soon, because honestly, this
I mean, they said they were gonna start during the time period.
time period, I mean, my motion is going to be worded interesting. I am going to motion to go against this particular redesign, but not that I am, I'm sorry, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Not because I am against the project as a whole, but simply due to the lack of transparency on DOT. I think that we should hold them accountable. I think that this city has an agenda and we understand that agenda, but I prefer they just tell us no outright than to, I mean, in this case, they told us no outright. They said that they no longer give community boards redesigns. What they do is some to this, which are like, and this isn't even supposed to be settled, but they're gonna start construction soon, so I'm not sure, you know. I'm not in the construction business, but I know a little bit about it, right? You can't start doing construction if you don't have a plan, like a final you have to work on. So I find it difficult. I find it difficult to like, that something like this can happen and we're told that we just have to accept it.
So to make that a little bit more.
No, Khalid had
Before you do that,
a.
Xavier has his hand raised.
I'm sorry, who has that?
Xavier is on.
Xavier has his own.
Sure.
Xavier and then. Okay.
That's
I
Xavier.
have a couple clarifying questions, and thank you for your comments, Jose, like mine. Was not there a commitment to provide the plans made last month? I seem to recall that in the meeting, they said they would get it across. And I don't, you know, and since then, I don't think anything was provided, but I am, you know, speaking with my fellow chairs for Manhattan, DOT has released in the past more detailed proposals than what we've been given. So was anything provided, and was that commitment not, did I hear that correctly?
It was not provided.
It was not provided, but we offered we gave them what they asked for.
Right.
However,
That I recall.
the first did not happen. They did not.
Okay, but sorry, but I did hear that correctly in the meeting. They said we'll get it over to you, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, then, you know, again, I think I will leave it with you all. I'm inclined to agree with you, Jose, and some of the other members that for us to have better partnership with all of our agencies and to work productively and holistically together, that, you know, providing that allows us to get greater input. But I applaud the work that your committee has done. Thank you, Fleet, for your stewardship as well and guidance. And thank you, Jose, Michelle, and all the members of Public Safety presentation.
I'm sorry, Sage and then Sage first.
I would pass a different motion, which is to approve this redesign. I think, you know, I remember a couple months ago, we had a lot of members of the community here. When they came, they trusted us to, and I thought sort of the vibe of that conversation was, obviously, we are in favor of this because this proposal makes it safer in East Harlem. It saves lives. We had people whose loved ones were hit by cars, deceased. And yeah, and this remedies the issues that, you know, resulted in those kinds of things. And I agree that it would be great for DOT to like do better and be more communicative and responsive to our requests. But I think the need to like signal our approval of this thing that is good for the community overrides like the annoyance at like them not doing exactly what we asked. And so I would just vote, make a motion to approve this proposal. Conditioned on our disappointment in their like not, you know, delivering a really detailed plan, as they had promised.
Thank you. Okay. I just wanted to clarify if I may, the fact that we have provided all the responses to your respective concerns. And that discussion we had, I think it was a week and a half ago on the call. We provided an opportunity for you to kind of go over those concerns and kind of reiterate our response. And we thought that that was enough. Just to make sure that indeed what we're doing is for the community. Not against the community.
Well, I think, you know, the committee's concern is that, you know, they're looking for like a block by block blueprint. It's usually what they ask for from DOT. And I think maybe moving forward, DOT just needs to be clear and concise that we do not provide this. This is not something that we do, and we make that consistent across all of the boards, because, you know, the argument is that other memberships are receiving a block by block schematics of sorts. And as opposed to us receiving that, we're getting, you know, like a follow along template. So I think moving forward, DOT needs to just be clear and concise, say that we don't provide block by block designs anymore, or we're not, or you know, be clear about that. I think maybe that might help.
We went over that particular presentation, particularly to bring that up, to clarify the black by black in relation to what we have there. Because there is some, I mean, it's not black, I mean, it's kind of black by black, because you see the street numbers there.
Well, of course, yes.
And also the legend will help you to understand what is happening on that particular slide.
Right.
And that's something that we thought we provided during that discussion on the call.
Right.
So we have done our due diligence in order to make sure that what we are presenting is clearly understood.
So I think that's where the disconnect is, right? I think the community membership wants to see what's 90% to 100%, what, so that's 30.
Yeah.
So I think the community wants to see 30 slides block by block. And I think that's what the general ask is. And maybe DOT needs to be clear as to that, yes, that's something we can do, or that's something that we cannot do. I think that would help in terms of the communication between agencies.
If I may,
Raphael, when we asked, Jennifer, the commissioner, when she was here with the rest of the individuals, and we were told, oh, well, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg sort of thing. Well, can you just give us these points of concerns? And we did, and in an email, I reiterated, please don't forget to give us the block by block complete design. It was not, and this was after the time that we spoke. Still wanting that information, because this is something that's gonna change so much in our neighborhood. As Jose had said earlier, we are not opposed to all of these changes, but we just want to see what's going to happen. So that is why he said that he wants to make an example of this by saying to not agree with it because we weren't given the transparency of the complete redesign. And moving forward, based on that, we probably either would or would not give our whole thing of concerns all in one thing and have meetings in between where all of our committee members are not present, but have meetings with everyone present. It would take longer, but it would be more transparent for everyone.
We had the last fall where you were also participating. And it was obvious that it was understood our approach to this project, meaning that the safety, pedestrian safety focus. And there was no at that time, any question from you all in regard to this black by black request.
That's not true, Rafael.
Raphael, please, don't do that to me.
I mean,
I mean,
look,
I
you know,
don't-
I understand your position, a lot of this is above your head, but
Don't do
you
that.
were on that call, we were very specific that we still wanted the block by block part. Hey, look, I think that Sage makes a good point, because this is very far in the process. You know, if we were going to give our denial, we should have gave it a long time ago, so that they could have then come back and then given us what they want, because they don't want to get a denial from a community board. I guess we can discuss it. We're not here to convince Rafael. Rafael works for DOT. He's got to do the job. Like, we respect it. We love Rafael. Rafael gets it done. And please don't forget that, like I asked you for on Pleasant Avenue and one.
Just to be, Rafael, in the points of concern that we did send, number 4, block by block
It's
parking
it.
design.
Please don't say it wasn't there. It's
Since
insulting.
angle parking is, so that was a request in the points of concern.
Our response.
Let's see here. Get back to clarify questions below. Delayed signing, continue. I don't think it was actually
Addressed.
It wasn't addressed.
I'm not seeing.
Because they promised that they were gonna give it.
At least we're in here. Spoken word, I can't,
So,
it's hearsay.
Then I stand corrected, it was mentioned there. But it was mentioned on your concern, the list of the points.
The points of concern that were requested from the community board, public safety and transportation committee were given. Block by block, but I don't remember what number it was, but it was definitely there to have the redesign. It was stated at the beginning of the conversation, and as the commissioner was leaving, I said to her, please, I still want that block by block design.
So I think Rafael needs to be clear on that, say that either yes, you can provide that, or no, we don't provide that. I think that will help move forward. As I know.
I will able to answer that.
I understand.
Uh,
I understand.
I think a lot of that will be up to the committee as well.
I don't
You can-
remember, I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly what the conversation with Robert Black. When that particular question came about, and I'm not sure.
Okay, no worries.
I was saying, I think a lot of that will be up to the committee as well going forward. This is like a lesson in city agencies, you know, it's not just DOT. Everyone is trying to get their agenda passed. And it is better to hold them accountable very, very early on in the process. You know, so that they respond faster. And can give us the information that we request. I don't think honestly, like, just between us, logic and speaking, like, it's such a big ask. To get, like, especially since we're not opposing it by principles or any of this matter. It's not like 116, where from the very beginning of hearing it, everyone's like, whoa, oh, what do you mean? No one said that about Third Avenue. Everyone was like, all right, we saw it coming out.
And it's at.
It was very transparent that we're not necessarily against it. Third Avenue is one of our larger avenues. We already saw it first, we saw it second. But it is, you know, it is bad faith from the city agency to do something like this, right? Because how are we really advising? point here is quick lights, that's all we do. But we're advising without lack of information. I think you were studying law, was it? Like, imagine, like, the logic of that. If I don't give you the law of what you're going to be, or the case information, but I still ask you, but I need you to give me.
Well,
know,
you'd be surprised how often that happens.
Yeah.
But in this, I don't think it was bad faith. I feel like it was just somebody taking a shortcut and interpreting like the block by block thing as.
No, they knew what we
Being
wanted.
allowed to deliver this like legend and the three categories of intersections.
Yeah, but I disagree, because we were very aware. Even Rafael was aware in private conversations. I think they
It was stated, it was written.
stated, it was written, our chair was on there.
It
He
was-
followed up on it. But you're right, though. I will see that the point is that they're going to start doing this very soon. Since we're not completely against it, and mind you, I came in 100% of Michelle knows to vote it down. But we are late in the party, and then the show that takes something into consideration for future events where it's better to just cut it out early so that we can get what we need. DOT has been pushing a lot of things, even, look, and again, they don't have to listen to us, we don't gotta take ourselves so seriously, like, we give the best of what we do, we gave great advice for the 128th Street redesign, and none of it was accepted.
None of it was accepted.
So, I mean, they have that ability to say that, but we go on the record, right? Our job is to go on the record. And in a couple of years, when that turns into a mess, shit show. Well, this is why we were on the record against this. Right? There were better ways, better options. Because no one knows our community better than we do. Most of the time, they redesign and off of downtown. And everybody says for a walkthrough, hey, we're gonna do a walkthrough to see this community. Doesn't happen, we have to drag DOT down there. Rafael honestly is very responsive. I can't say, his predecessor Lyle also, we did great work with our walkthroughs. I'm hoping this summer to work with Rafael we did our major intersections, we'll do the small streets. So, we can take this as a lesson learned, but, we want something, we should just ask for it very clearly, and if they don't give it to us in a month, then vote it down so that they can take us more seriously going forward. Because I don't think it's crazy. That's all it's.
It's not a crazy,
I just, from a logical point of view, I don't think it's great. They asked us, they gave us a little piece of it now, as you can see. But I don't know where, this whole approach for DOT saying we've always gotten redesigns for everything they've done. Anything major, anything capital project, they come and they show us for 128th Street, we saw what was there and then what's going to be there. How it's shaped, they're going to turn, for instance, the street on 128th, it's going to go up. There's going to be a large street bolt there, and there's going to be a traffic light. There's a traffic light on that bridge. And it'll take time and they'll pass.
very deep.
I already clenched my teeth over it, but there's details, right? We can see it all and then we advise, and then it's up to them, whatever they're gonna do after that. But, here we are. We just lagged for so long, but let's,
So you started with the motion.
I know, but I do agree with Sage that, considering the construction point, Rafael, do you know when they're starting exactly? It's pretty soon, right? I saw their email. What did their email say, Michelle? Very
At
soon.
the very bottom of the email, it said that, the redesign was not part of it.
Talking about someone.
Summer. Well, summer is like
So
months.
summer is like,
So yeah, I think we change our perspectives to vote in favor of the project with our position.
are you making a motion?
Yes, I will make a motion to vote in favor of this project with under protest, for DOT's lack of transparency. We hope Well, how much do we have to put in that motion? I don't wanna-
Make it a little bit more succinct there.
Yeah, that's what I wanna do. I do wanna add that I hope they consider, in the motion, they consider making Third Avenue from 127 to 128 two-way streets.
In the motion,
We can do that.
So there we go.
okay, you have to.
I made a motion to approve,
For the
to
proposal.
support the proposal under protest.
Maybe like qualified by our disappointment.
What's the better terminology, Khalid?
Under protest sounds pretty extreme.
I think it should be extreme.
Should be extreme.
I'll vote go with under protest for DOT's
Lack of
transparency
transparency.
in providing us the complete redesign.
Not to put words in your mouth.
Yes.
Like the promised material.
Did you want to add part of what you had said for?
I do. Hope. I do.
In other words, I'm not putting words in your mouth, I'm making sure.
No, I'm the one that wanted that when it came out.
Trying to look this time. They're not gonna redesign, especially concerns.
Wait, do we have to finalize it now? We're organize later or? Or just do the motion?
We'll board this next week.
Oh, so yeah, we get to.
I think this language to be.
I'll second that motion that,
Hold on, we don't have the motion.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you though, but let's get the.
We'll put you on pause. Rafaela, I think had
Okay, so
some
I have-
concerns.
Sorry, okay, so I have here.
I'll be in touch with
Proposal
you.
Carl made a motion to support the proposed Third Avenue redesign while expressing concerns with DOT's lack of transparency in this process.
No, I wanna go
No.
under protest.
Under protest,
We need to be dramatic,
needs to be strong.
otherwise they're gonna do this against us, I find it. Otherwise, what are we doing here? They're just gonna do whatever they want. We don't have to waste our time being.
I agree, especially with the redesign from the 16.
You might as well make a point.
So proposed Third Avenue redesign under protest due to DOT's lack of transparency in this process.
Lack of transparency in this process, supplying the complete
Complete
redesign.
redesign, yeah, that has to be part of it. Anybody want to?
Thank you.
The lack of transparency in the process by failing to provide a
Complete redesign.
design draft.
And then just one more sentence. And it's gonna be complicated.
Okay, Carlos, are you seconding that, second? Second?
Can I add to the motion?
Oh, what? No.
We hope they consider making Third Avenue a two-way avenue from 128 to 127. That's just a thing for them.
That's similar, actually.
It's part of the redesign.
No. It is not here.
Oh, you ordered pizza?
It's phone.
You left your phone? You want me to call it? Oh, we got you that nervous. Okay. Nice bow tie, Rafael. Between 128 and 127.
Alderman Altamano made a motion to support the proposed Third Avenue redesign under protest due to DOT's lack of transparency in this process by failing to provide a complete redesign draft with an additional request to turn Third Avenue between 127 and 128 streets into a two-way street.
to alleviate traffic.
That is the end of the motion.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Did you show up?
Charlie.
No, finish writing it.
It's fine. Who seconded it? Who seconded it?
Carlos had.
Carlos. Second.
It's Charlie, not Carlos. It's only
Only,
Carlos.
only my friends call me Charlie, so be careful.
Alright, you wanna roll call order?
Yeah.
So we need. 4 votes for this pass, there's 6 present right now. Jose Altamirano,
Yes.
Carlos Diaz,
Yes.
Pascal Heno,
Yes.
Sage Mason,
Yes.
Valerie Ponzi,
No.
and Michelle Losar Cook.
I'm a protest.
That's fine, but that's not about Michelle, it's a yes, no, or.
I said under the protest, yes.
Thank you, Patrick. I feel the same way. But, you know,
I just say, because they made a video about 96th Street, where the commissioner stood on 96th Street, and the person said to the commissioner, I sent it to you. They said, but the board, the community didn't know about it, he said, oh, well, next time let's try it. That's why,
okay. That'll be for
they think
116,
we're a joke.
but they're coming soon for 116.
Do you wanna move forward with 116th Street? Or do you
No,
wanna
because
wait
we're
for
gonna do
next
next
month?
We'll wait for next month for the business individual.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I'll make sure they're here.
For next month. We have Samuel Moore who's on it and Sandra's raised.
Who's that?
Samuel Moore?
He's the individual who came with that street cleaning from last year.
And what do you think?
The Sandra's raised. I'm asking if you want to acknowledge him or not.
Go ahead, Samuel Moore.
So you want to move forward into new business and then not,
No, not new business, just
We're not going,
Acknowledge.
we're not doing the, correspondence for 116th Street redesign right now because we do not have the individual.
yeah, so we're tabling that, okay.
So we're tabling that, we're going on to new business. One of the first new business things is, it was brought up to me that on 96th Street by, Park Avenue. That another, crossing guard is needed. Being that, it's just dangerous.
is there one there now?
No.
196 and what?
And Park Avenue, there are crossing guards at,
Madison.
Lexington and at Madison.
I
But
don't-
not at Park, because Park is so narrow, but because buses turn on Park. And they're rushing to get back to the bus depot, they turn a little.
Oh, they do,
Please.
you're right. I'm not
uh,
sure that's gonna help when they run over the crossing guard, but,
I don't know what
But
crossing
again-
guard is the right by to want to be
but
there.
again, this is the city
But
employees,
we
not.
are just, this was brought up, and I am just bringing it to the community.
This is brought up by, sorry?
People in the community want a cross, definitely, I've almost been hit
That
many times
request-
there.
Crossing
That
guard,
request has to go through.
it's sort of like a school.
A school crossing guard,
That request has to go through to the 23rd precinct, right? I think that's their.
that is your jurisdiction, yes, but I'm just bringing it up, that that's under new business.
So you would like to do a motion on that, or do we, or you're just sending a letter to the 23rd precinct asking them if they,
I think that the,
what is the procedure you exactly want?
at this point, they just wanted, like,
We need to get information first,
yeah.
how the process works.
Yeah.
School
They-
school crossing guard.
School crossing-
So, sorry?
School crossing guards are distributed depending on how many, because there's not a lot of guards, they just usually put it at very, dangerous areas, which is Madison and Lexington.
Those are larger crossings.
Yeah, they're larger crossings and.
You can jump over.
Crossing guards, I think that there's also a budget request as well. Yeah.
And a lot of them get hurt,
Where,
they get pummeled over by cars, so. They spend a lot of time in the hospital, unfortunately. There.
just to, I mean, I agree that we should follow up since it's a community request, but. Will be a hard request to pass because that is very narrow.
It's
Probably
very,
the narrowest street we have, particularly there. But again, this is just to make the fact that it's city employees not following city rules. Because for some reason, and buses don't get, you know, they don't get the speed checked. And you know, they're concerned about a car hitting you. Let me tell you, bus hitting you,
That's it.
It's over.
That's it. I agree, Carlos. I heard you. I'm just bringing that up, that, so we can. Would anyone, I don't know, should we have a letter of support? Should we
I
have?
think we're gonna find out first.
Yeah, it's not necessary, especially it's already something that you can do as a budget request, like you said at this point, and but then.
We'll have to reach out to the 2-3 and what the process is exactly. I remember it roughly, but I don't wanna like guess, things change too. You have to make a formal request and.
Okay, so it's on the board.
it's on the board.
The next thing was, you said Samuel,
Samuel Moore is on,
Moore
as
is
a
on.
stand, play as a stand raise, you wanna acknowledge him?
go ahead, Samuel Moore.
Well, good evening, board. How is everyone doing this evening?
Thank you.
I'm on the line because I wanted to bring to the attention of the board again in regards to the street co-naming of my late mother, Denise L. Carmack, 107th Street and 5th Avenue. And I wanted to bring that to the board's attention again. I did resend in the application again, was never informed that it was denied. And then I was informed later on the denial, and then I sent in a formal complaint as to why I felt like it was unjust, and no one has gotten back to me in regards to that. So now I'm bringing it to the board's attention again for review for possible reconsideration.
So Samuel, I understand that you're saying that you submitted, you are not understanding why you did not get a answer of why we said or denied your proposal. Is
And I
that
said
correct?
he wasn't aware of the denial
You weren't aware of the denial.
and no one
Not at
informed
all.
him.
Weren't you present when we first heard and we took a vote?
No, the vote was to have the information redone. That was because Anthony, not sure of his title in the board, stated that he knew of two people who did not sign the petition. Later to then find out that he was in a relationship with one of the women.
I will have to stop you there because we are not defaming any individual.
I didn't defame it all.
And especially people that are on the board or were on the board. However, when you are saying that you were not given an answer, you were given an answer. You were given an answer twice.
Well, the first time, my understanding, it was done out of the committee, and then at full board, it was sent back.
Mhm.
And then the second time, it was now a committee and a denial at full board. We could follow up to see why he wasn't, given that information. I believe that, the denial, a lot of it was based on, not just like,
The motion language for that type was, I'll pull it right now.
yeah, I believe that well, we respect everyone's mother and everyone's memory. The street renaming is based on a significant contribution to the community. We were given this instruction by city council, who eventually, just for transparency purposes, we advised the community council, this is actually approved at city council. And just for your information, Samuel, right?
Yes, sir.
Samuel, you could also go directly to council. You're on And who's your council, do you know who your council person is? Salam.
I wanna say Yusef Salam. I wanna say that, I'm not too sure.
It is,
My
yes.
suggestion to you would be to approach the council, because any council person can move forward with any street code naming at any given point, because that's where it gets approved or disapproved at council. They do it twice a year. Have they changed the dates, Khalid? Is it still?
It's twice a year, for, August and I think November. Or like.
No, that's too close. That's too close.
Yeah,
I think it was May before, it was August and November, it's only 3 months. It's like June, and then they do like a late fall, like November. My suggestion to you, Sam, in the meantime, while we get some information, would be to approach, your council person and present your petition to them, because as I believe we stated to you before, they can, without community board request, they can go forward with this, because that's where we send it. When we do any street cleaning here, it gets sent to council and they, but we can give you information, or we can inquire as to the why you weren't informed of things of that nature. I do know that, from what I remember, but we will go back. A lot of it has to do with community, what the exact, and I know that obviously, again, we respect your mother and the legacy of your mother. But I think there was the biggest concern beyond the signing and signatures and all that stuff. That wasn't the main concern. I don't think in the second vote that was even discussed. Because a lot of that will be considered hearsay. It's more based on like the contribution that person did, or what that person's known, right? There's a limited amount of streets, what we were told by city council. And based on that, they asked us for, and that was like, right as I became chair, we had given them some and they sent it back to us. They denied it, even though we had approved it, they denied them, and they denied them based on certain requirements that they expect of us. I think that is something that this committee should probably look at, and reword it so that people have an understanding of what they can do or what we can do. It doesn't make sense, and we approve things and then it gets sent back to us, because that's what happened in that particular occasion. And then after that, we became, following their request of us, we have been very consistent in that. But we, since I was chair at the time, I will personally reach out to you after I get some information. But I will suggest that you approach Yusuf. Because as I stated, they have the ability to do this directly. But just in case, could you give me do we have his contact information?
We have his email, I don't know.
His phone number, I'm not gonna email.
I think I have.
Do you have an issue giving your phone number now? You want us to
I
reach you?
don't. 917.
Yeah.
337.
Yeah.
9072. If I may, just really quickly, you stated something about, the contribution of the community. If you've just taken a chance to just walk through the neighborhood of where my mother lived, you would understand the impact that she has had. If you took the time to speak to some of the former officers at the 23rd precinct, you would understand the impact that my mother has had. Cy Vance has given my mother citations for the things that she has done in the community. Not against anybody who has their name up at all, but if we're going to talk about contributions, and I'm not saying this just because she's my mother, I know what she's done. And the work that she's done has spoken for what she is, who she is. That's why I see it fitting for something of that magnitude for her to have in her honor, for children past me to be able to look her up and say, well, wow, this woman did so much. But I do appreciate you allowing me to have this time and informing me of what I should do next. Again, Khalid, who is on the line, thank you so much for your wonderful help. You've been amazing, but I will definitely take your advice and go forward.
Yeah, and I'll be reaching out to you. So
Okay.
I got your number now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, and do we have any other people on the line?
I don't think so. Oh, Xavier has his hand raised.
Xavier, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for all the work you do. Wanted to just raise something, and I spoke to Michelle about it. I didn't get to connect with you, Jose, but I was alerted earlier today, and I've been receiving texts and calls. And I know that I did get to connect with Jewel and asked her to raise it with the 23rd precinct, but at Park Avenue and 96th Street, we have several schools in that area. And earlier today, a lot of kids walked to Hunter over there. There was a car coming from the FDR. Yep,
There you go.
yep.
Michelle brought that up
I
already.
just
Oh,
brought
you
that up.
did. Oh,
I know
wonderful.
that
Thank.
you were able to log off. Unfortunately, you logged off, but I don't want you to, she brought that up.
Oh,
on the
thank
first
you.
thing- First thing she brought up on the new business.
Wait,
Okay,
Xavier, are
one-
you
Huh?
talking about a specific incident that occurred today?
Yes, today there were about 15 high school kids, like probably, around ninth grade, and who were walking to Hunter right there, the southbound southwestern section where someone was turning, and along with one of the parents I know that lives on 96 who's walking in the opposite direction going eastward while they were going westward, and the person turned and almost hit all of them. I know repeatedly because I walk my kids to school and I walk down Park Avenue. I have almost been hit several times. And so that it's now become an issue in that area for public safety that they would like to have crossing guards. They have two that are at Lexington and 96th, and they would appreciate two there where they're actually 8 lanes of traffic. And it has become a little bit like the Wild West where people are running the red light or turning against the light or against the right of way. So again, this just phone started blowing up this morning, so I wanted to raise it. Thank you, Michelle. I was walking my son home and I had to log off while I was doing that to speak with him. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, just to add to it, even cars, they don't stop for cars. So if you're turning in your car, I had to give a formal complaint, we almost got killed.
Mhm.
Just turned the bus, but
And to clarify, it's not just the cars, it is the e-bikes, the scooters, the bikes that blow through even when it's a red light. And that's happened multiple times too. So just again, it's collectively as an intersection, it's very hazardous. So thank you for bringing it up, Michelle.
And I've been in the neighborhood for a long,
Don't age
long
yourself.
time.
Don't age yourself.
And it was usually just usually not parked, it's the other streets, but now it has gotten, I don't understand why.
No, because congestion is significantly heavier now that you only have 1 lane traffic there. It's true that you have a bus lane that's been there about a year now.
Yes, that is
So
true.
people
That
are
is
getting
true.
considerably dusty. It's the similar thing that happened
That is
on Lexington as you approach. I don't know if anyone knows what happens there, but as you approach the bus depot, there's always traffic. There's always, like, they block traffic for a considerable amount of time. And then people start speeding as soon as they pass, what is that, like 104? No, slow bus. It's
All I
bus
know is that
90,
the accident.
98. Where's the bus
happened
depot?
At 96th Street,
So-
101st.
So right there, as soon as they pass that and there's housing, every car flies through there. Because they've been so crazy with all the buses that loop around Park and go through there and they cut you off and they're cutting. And they cut all the traffic off. They can't fit, but they will stop all the traffic. And that's why we have considerable accidents on 96th Street in Lexington, which luckily we've been able to minimize with traffic signaling. We ended up slowing everyone down further so they don't fly through there.
I haven't seen as many fatal accidents.
But I enjoy how, vehicular traffic, we see how they speak to us about keeping safety, but doesn't apply. The city.
Okay, there was one other thing on new business that I wanted to bring up. Quick vote. The third annual Public Safety and Transportation Conference. Fall or spring? I mean, fall of next year. Of this year,
I'm kind of confused, that.
or the spring of the following year.
That means you wouldn't have it, it wouldn't be third anymore, you're sitting in here.
You know what I mean?
You would be skipping through it.
Okay. And not to have it necessarily in the Silverman building, because if we have it in the fall. They are very much into, oh, we need to get our whole act together before we actually get to give us a date. So we can have it in like the Metropolitan Hospital or like different places. We won't necessarily have it there, but we'd have it on neutral ground. The only thing I want to know is when we would, what time frame would be best for us to work with. And then we'll just get, and we'll have to save the date and a lot more in advance than we did when we were concentrating on that one area. As in the Silverman building. Yes, Jose.
You know that youth violence is our number one priority in this community. And that particular annual event, that's what it addresses, that's a concentration of it. Most of our very young youth are weaponized by the older, what NYPD considers older gang members, because NYPD about 5 years back officially named them gangs. And that is a big distinction in terms of legality for the NYPD. We're talking about obviously all the different housing and federal army and all of these other names that to go around. And when you hear a chair speak about neutrality, it's because you can't have it in certain places, right? You can't have it in your settlement, because that's where it's on Washington houses, and people, no matter how they won't go there. I do think that we should do it annually. But Silverman building, the issue that we had last year is that they won't give you the space for, they won't reserve. And then they won't reserve it until 30 days, but now you're only announcing in 30 days, it's not a lot of time. But there are a lot of other places that we can go forward to. I think we can reach out to Mount Sinai. I think you should maybe find out if these places are amicable to do something like that in September or October, whenever you want. Last time we did it the weekend, but I don't know if it was better on the weekend or the weekday.
It wasn't better on the weekend because there was an individual who was coming to town and all the said to go to Central Park.
President was.
No, yeah, I mean,
You can't do.
he can't make it up. He literally can't make it up.
That's nobody's fault.
Yeah, so like
He's
everyone.
from here, what are you gonna do? Maybe the president like this or something like that.
So, the weekday or weekend that is not on the table right now, on the table is the time frame.
Yeah, I'm indifferent. I think, fall is, maybe good because, just really for the purposes of like having the very annual one. I think spring is also interesting, because that's when like the temperatures are rising, people are starting to go outside, kids are starting to like act more level-headed. There was a shooting on Saturday on my, between Fifth and Madison. And I think that's only gonna get worse as,
They got more.
So I think there might be some benefits to doing it in the spring to sort of like preempt, people sort of, tensions rising during the school year and then blowing up when people are outside more and get out of school. But that's just one thought.
Flexible.
I said the opposite, I think I'm making it all like back to school event. I think we discussed this last time we met, there was some concerns that it's too busy in the fall, especially if you do it like early.
So definitely not September.
I think the fall would be good, if it's like October, you said it wanted to move, but like back to school. So you could kind of position it as like a back to school event. but the spring as well, you know, things ramp up and it gets a little warm outside. That would be bad.
Carlos,
Uh-huh.
what is spring
Well,
or fall for a conference dealing with and we concentrate on all ages, but mostly be geared towards youth so that they are not killing each other.
Well, I think an area where you could probably look at, since Jules Jones is the chairman of the Metropolitan Advisory Board, sent her a letter asking for the youth of Metropolitan. That may be a way of trying to reach out to other agencies to host it for you. But since Jules is
I
a member
already
of this
spoke with
committee,
them, actually. I already spoke with them, but I wanted to find out from you when you thought
oh,
it was.
okay. Well, I think the summer months would be great. You know, July, August. This is warm. People are out there. People will come to the meeting.
We don't meet in July and August.
Other meeting you can't have in July.
So it would have to be, the conference would have to be either in the spring or the fall or in the winter, but not in the summer because we're not meeting and we're not gonna be doing a whole bunch of work in the summer.
Okay.
But we don't really need, I think another factor is, and I, you know, might be in favor of doing more in the fall for the reasons you just mentioned. Like kids getting back to school. But it's hard to like get us together in the summer instead of doing it in like September is a little rough, because like we will not have much. I think we don't need in August, we don't need in July. Yeah, some people are waiting for like August.
Yes.
August
You
sounds
do-
fine.
I mean, at this point, right, if we're doing it this year, it would be late September, early October, because we know from experience, further you get down, closer you get to major holidays and other things. And again, like we don't, like, other than preparing for it, we're not speaking, like our speaker is from the youth strategies department, like they're have a whole program, they have the whole thing, they've run. You know, our preparation is really thinking of the location, what, you know, what we need is a location that allows us a 3-4 month ramp up so that we can say, hey.
Save the date.
Save the date 4 months from now, or last year, you know, and we still had a decent turnout, but, you know. It was like 30 days that we had, right? And that wasn't our fault, it's just that particular building where we had it, that's what they.
That's what they
work,
do.
That's how they operate. So we can look for other places, but.
Okay, so the feeling I'm getting is fall.
There you go. Give her work, give our chair work.
And I also agree with the fall, even though, because then part of it is having people come and have things ready to apply for programs for the summer. And that's usually, you have to do the applications in February or January. And so having it in the fall, they would have that opportunity, and if it's in the springtime, all those things are closed. Okay. Yeah,
So,
that's happy.
as far as places to host it, have you looked at schools in the type of schools in the area?
I know 2 public schools that are neutral, but I don't know of any other. Neutrality is key. But if you know of any particular thing, and you have any organizations that you would like to participate in the conference, please think of that now.
I was thinking about the University Public Schools have the education, like, that was called, like the parent educational councils. Maybe reaching out to them and seeing if they have any, and it's another board in the city.
I've met her at the full board,
Yeah.
Yeah. and I've spoken with her.
So that'd probably be a good avenue to find a space. And most weekends, so the schools do have some programming, but they'll probably have more to it or something.
We want something that also has security.
School safety is already there.
So Metropolitan, I've already spoken with them. They have a space that's. We'll have to go see it ourselves. We haven't been in that space. At least I haven't. I don't know if you have. And they were willing to open up their space. So when we do it so early on, we have the opportunity of looking at those things. So I'm just opening that up, having you think about it. And we can have a working thing during the summer if you wish, but it won't be something that's so like, we have to do this right now. It's more fluid. And that's why I just wanted to put it out there. If there's no more new business, I would like to bring this to a close. Is there any more new business? Upon silence, let us close this meeting. Can I have the roll call?
Jose Altamirano,
Present.
Carlos Diaz,
President.
Pascal Hano,
Present.
Sage Mason, Valerie Ponte, Michelle Lozar Condit.
Present. I now adjourn this meeting. At the time is now 8:46.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Charlie.
Good night, O'Day.